Outside of Affinity, Burn, Infect, I don't really know what else there is. So I don't want to play a control deck in such an unknown format right now. Ironically, Ancestral Visions coming in makes control decks better, but it also makes people unsure of how they want to build their deck. So there's a lot of random stuff going on. There's like a ton of different strategies. Everyone's trying to attack Ancestral Visions. The way they're doing it is they're just playing a weird deck. Like it might be Scape Shift, it might be Tron, it might be Merfolk, but I'm getting attacked from a lot of different angles and I can't have an answer to everything. So I just want to be proactive until things settle down. Yeah, I'm Kyle Boggemes playing, I call it Stew Zoo. It's basically Reckless Bushwhacker Zoo. It's got the best 1-drops in Zoo. It's got a Wild Nacatl, Kird Ape, Experiment 1, and then you combine that with the best burn spells in the format, Lightning Bolt and Atarka's Command, and then you finish it off with, instead of having additional burn spells like most of the Naya burn decks play, it instead plays things like Rancor, Mutagenic Growth, and Ghor-Clan Rampager to push damage through, because you're less about top decking a win and more about just like establishing board presence early, and then you have to attack through obnoxious stuff like Kitchen Finks. There's not too many lands, one of them being Dryad Arbor, and then you have the 8 green fetches because they're able to get Dryad Arbor, and then just so I have all 3 colors immediately, I have 3 Arid Mesa to round out the fetch lands, and then there's 2 Stomping Ground and the green-white Temple Garden and Sacred Foundry. So you got 4 shocks, 2 basics, Arid Mesa, 11 fetches. So it's kind of a risky mana base. You definitely want to mulligan 1-landers. I'm all right. I think 2 is the sweet spot. You can pretty much operate for the entire game on 2 mana. So like that's why there's so few lands. In the 1-drops, I have Kird Ape, Experiment 1, Wild Nacatl, and Goblin Guide. The other 11 are pretty key. You got Vexing Devil, Burning-Tree Emissary, and Reckless Bushwhacker. Vexing Devil was a card, it's kind of a weird card, not something I typically like to play. It works well with Experiment 1, because even if they decide to kill it, it's a 4/3, so it's the only thing outside of hardcasting Ghor-Clan Rampager that's going to get it to a 4/4. Sometimes people don't know if they need to pay the life, because I might just drop a 3rd land and then I can play Reckless Bushwhacker and haste it out. So like you can attack for 7 out of nowhere, because people don't want to pay 4 life to make it die, because they might have an answer to it next turn, but they don't know they're going to get hasted. So we have 11 other spells. There's 4 Atarka's Command, 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Rancor, and a Mutagenic Growth. So the Rancor is great when you have Vexing Devil that they didn't take 4 damage on, so then it becomes a 6/3 with Trample, because if they're not going to take the damage and they just chump block it, it's terrible. So I want all the pump spells, or at least, so I have 6 things that give it Trample. So either Ghor-Clan or Rancor, it deals a ton of damage. Lightning Bolt's like the best card in the format, so I've got to play 4 of that. It's 1 mana, so it's great. And Atarka's Command is one of the really high power level cards in this deck as well, because you might have like 3 or 4 creatures out, so +1/+1 and 3 damage, that's a ton of damage. So the sideboard is, I have 3 Tin Street Hooligan for Affinity. I have 2 Feed the Clan and a Burrenton Forge-Tender for Burn. I have 2 Spellskite for Infect. And then versus random creatures that kind of supplement the Affinity and Infect suite, we have 2 Forked Bolt and an Electrickery. Then there's generic catch-all stuff in Thalia, Eidolon of the Great Revel, and Grafdigger's Cage. The best matchup, it's actually, all right, I'm gonna say Tron. Tron is a very easy matchup. Having turn 3 Tron into Karn or Wormcoil Engine, that's pretty scary. But when all they do is play Sylvan Scrying, Expedition Map, Relic of Progenitus, any of that stuff, it just doesn't matter. And this deck is great because it can Goldfish a turn 3 kill in a variety of ways. It doesn't need Reckless Bushwhacker. It might just be Experiment 1 into Wild Nacatls or something like that. There's so many ways to kill by turn 3. And they're just not fighting with you. Things that As far as specific archetype, Living End seemed really challenging. I think that was the one deck that I had like some great draws against, but still wasn't able to bring it home just because they like wrath me on turn 3 with Living End. So I might have a great, it might be Experiment 1, Kird Ape, Wild Nacatl, Great Curve, and they just kill it all on turn 3, and then I have like, maybe 6 power worth of stuff afterward. Depending on the speed of the deck you're playing, you have to be well versed in what other people are doing. This deck, you're going to be able to kill somebody on turn 3, whether you know what they're doing or not. It might be a nice deck. What does it do, by the way? Because I killed you really fast. So it's good when you either don't have a lot of time to test, the format shifts, so people are playing a lot of weird stuff, so you can't be ready for everything. Or there's a lot of people who just love to play Goblin Guides. So overall, yeah, it's great. I would stick with this list.